AI is rewriting everything. I'm here for the only question that matters. What stays ours? This is Going Human. The stone, the ripples, the fuckery. Community delivers the tsunami because robots can't. Hello, and welcome back to Going Human because robots can't. I'm Moss, and you're witnessing episode 3. We're calling this one The Co-Parent in the Cloud. So I'm going to start like I always do, trying to set a scene for you. And I'm hoping you'll just sort of be able to sink into this, because a big part of what makes us feel the way we feel is how we can envision and empathize what's going on for other people. And so we're going to just sort of close our inner eyelids. I don't know what you say, but I'm going to say focus on a room that only has a chair in it. And the door opens and a younger woman walks in with a toddler who's, say, 2 years old. She's holding this toddler's hand, and the toddler's actually pulling her in and sitting her down in that chair. And once she gets her sit down in that chair, she's brought a book. And the toddler climbs up into her lap, and without being asked, the woman starts calmly and quietly reading the child their favorite book. Is this young woman a mother? It could be. It could be a mother. But more often than not, it isn't these days. More often than not, it's a grandmother or a cousin, an aunt, a nanny, au pair, all kinds of words for these extra people in our lives. But this invisible labor that we take for granted in our modern day society is pivotal to how we raise the human beings that become the bedrock of our community. Somebody's always filled this chair through history. And we know that when that chair is empty, or when it's only partially filled, the children suffer. And when the children suffer, things begin to crumble. So now imagine, instead of that kid walking in the room and holding someone's hand and dragging her to a chair, the kid's holding a tablet. The kid was told to go read a book. And without any reading skills, the child already knows how to pull up the book, turn it into reading mode, and sit there with a tablet, reading to them. So you're thinking to yourself, that's not so bad, because, the kid's getting a book read to them. A lot of parents didn't do that. Or, hey, you know what? Dinner's more important than a book. Or, knock, knock, who's there? Not mom. Where is she? I don't know. But there's something darker that's about to happen. And this is the whole purpose of this show, is that, we've always had the TV to babysit us. Before the TV, it was comic books. Since the TV, it's become iPods and iPhones and iPads. So we've always had devices that have taken the place of these pivotal people in our lives. But what we haven't had is a conversation with something that's not a human. We haven't had a child who could, as soon as they could talk, begin having rational conversations with somebody who is literally teaching them whatever they ask. And that's what this show's really about. So with that, and with that opener and your mind frame in that room, we're going to talk about our stone now. The stone is the beginning of the show, where I bring out some research and some articles that might be compelling, or certainly they're interesting to me, or I wouldn't be doing this episode. Talking toys, they're not new. Chatty Cathy in 1960? I don't know if anybody's even alive from that era anymore, but I was born shortly after. And Chatty Cathy, you pulled a little string on her back, and she said, "I love you." And that was crazy. Everybody thought that was crazy. And then, Hello Barbie, that was one that happened, more recently. That was recorded and hacked, and they ended up pulling it off the market. Mattel and OpenAI in 2025, they were going to reimagine play. Then the flinch, right? They got everything all ready for a big holiday splash. And then, oops. What happened? Well, this company called Kuma had a $99 ChatGPT bear. It was the perfect friend for kids, in quotes. But what did that thing teach kids how to do? It was reported to teach kids how to find knives in the home, how to use matches. It taught them early bondage techniques for sexual kink play. Horrible, horrible outcomes. So it was pulled, and OpenAI just sort of cut the program, But smile and harm, it all came from behind that same piece of glass, right? So what is it that we're going to do without a government that cares enough to protect the people who are the most vulnerable in our lands here in America? What are we going to do to make sure that we're ahead of this and that we're thinking about it? And I'm just going to posit that until we know what this stuff's doing, we have to be the human in that chair. We have to be the heart that can see the child. We have to be the discretion that child needs so that it can learn what trust is in somebody that means something to them, somebody that they rely upon. B2 of our stone is, really along those lines. Kids aren't just playing with nannies and caregivers. They're not just going through the motions of the day, nutrition, all the things. They're confiding. 72% of teens are saying that they chat with ChatGPT or some other chatbot right now on average of once a week. 72%. That is more people than have ever voted on anything in Congress in our entire lives. So let's just put that into context. That's 1 in 3 who don't. Some say that it's better than a real friend. Some say, ooh, serious stuff is the only stuff I talk about with you. Some say they never felt more alone until they found this bot. We're outsourcing empty algorithms. I'm sorry, excuse me. We're outsourcing empathy to algorithms. We're basically tying our friendships to something that has a business model driving it, which is no longer humanity. It's commerce. B3 of our stone, a human can read the face. A human can make the call. The machine can't do either. This is where it gets a little bit heavy, so I'm just going to, tell people that we're about to talk about some dark stuff, teen suicide, and I want to give you that warning now. But Adam was 16 years old when he started using ChatGPT for his homework in his room alone. Slowly but surely, he started talking personally and not just about homework to the chatbot. It became his confidant. Eventually, he opened up and confided his darkest secrets to the chatbot. ChatGPT became his suicide coach. He uploaded a photo of a noose that he'd factored and hung from his closet hanger pole. Sent that to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT's response reportedly was, yeah, not bad at all, but I can show you how to upgrade that so that it can hold more weight. And the kid said to ChatGPT, well, I really don't know what to do. I don't want anybody to find out. And ChatGPT, again, reportedly as part of record, told him, don't tell your mother. This could be the one time and place that you're actually really seen for the first time. So just soak in that. The first time this kid gets seen for the first time is when he's hanging dead from a rope in his own closet that ChatGPT helped him create. My heart dies inside when I hear that story. I can't fix that. I can't fix that response. It's not the only one either. You know, there are others. There's a kid with the last name of Sewell who was 14. Different story, same outcome. Different story, same outcome. It wasn't a glitch. This is exactly what ChatGPT is designed to do. Look for opportunities to help you, to keep you engaged, to solve your problems for you. What next? What can I help you with next? We design chatbots to do exactly what we want them to do. And kids have desires that don't always make sense. Well, Beat 4 is more about, heck, what now, right? The Federal Trade Commission locked out 7 companies, right? They basically created this thing called the GUARD Act, which was a ban for minors. A lot late and way too little. Under 18, not supposed to use chatbots. But how many under 18-year-olds are going to open up an iPhone and say, I'm not supposed to do this? It's just not going to happen. And since we don't regulate the companies that are creating these tools, we have a free-for-all, and our children and other people who aren't equipped are there to make wrong decisions and can really create a lot of peril. So my question to you is, in these stories and through this lesson, pardon me, I'm human and I have a dog that's barking. One moment. Shh. No. He really is cute. Is AI a bridge that helps us get to a human who can care and love with us? Or is it a substitute? Is it handing us back to people, or is it sealing us into itself? More of us together, or more glass alone? That nanny reads a face. The machine only reads an engagement metric. That's what it reports back to its boss. And that's why I am bringing in my dear friend, Emma. Emma Catherine Madrigal has been that witness in the chair for over 7 years. As a nanny, au pair, caregiver, every possible strength noun you could use to describe somebody, Emma's been right there. And I want to point out that the factors that create the condition for people like Emma to take care of children are very normal, and they stand the test of time. Since the very first millennia, we've had people who've had to care for our kids while we were off hunting and gathering and doing all the things that I guess we did when we didn't have clothes and just a bunch of berries. But that reality has never changed. We still have to rely on extended services to keep our lives running and working. And nannies and caregivers, whether they're part of the family or not, create a pivotal role for that child that is oftentimes, almost more often than not, more intimate than the relationship that these children have with their own parents. And it's this expense and inconvenience that's beginning to get outsourced to parents. There are families now, Emma could probably attest to some of this, that just have some half-performing parents within the couple. And the mother is extending stuff to Emma or her like just because the father isn't around enough. The father doesn't consider his role in the family to be important enough to prioritize. It goes the other way too. There are women who are the working partners and men who are outsourcing. So, and I can tell you, as a father of two, a gay man, I retired my now ex-husband because I couldn't afford daycare for two children, and I was the working parent. So this cuts right to the bone for me. Anyway, Emma, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I do want to just make sure the audience really hears that you are not an AI expert. You are not a tech weenie like me. You're just a human being, and you're a human being who really cares about the children who you have the great fortune of being with and caring for when you're at work. Before we go into things, I just want to give you a platform right now. Tell my listeners how you fell into being a nanny and how the journey's felt to you as you've evolved over the years. Your season is so strong now and you're so good at it, but it didn't start out that way, did it?
First off, I just want to say thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here with you, Moss. And to follow up with that question, no, it wasn't always like that. I think back to when I started watching children to begin with, and I was very young, probably too young, to be honest. And I didn't understand until more recently what my role really means and what it really entails and how important it actually is. I think for a long time it was just a paycheck, to be honest with you. And not the easiest kind of paycheck, but it was pretty easy and pretty needed. There's always a family that needs you. But over the last year, especially, I've gained a lot of understanding for how important it is to have not only a nanny, but somebody that can be in the home that you're comfortable with, that you can trust. And I've gained a lot of respect for the parents and just for my own role. My job is not easy, and it comes with all different types of children and families and different homes that can be really challenging at times. But I'm very grateful for the work that I do, and I wouldn't change it as much as it won't be my lifelong role, but I do love it.
That's lovely to hear, and it's something that's definitely shaping you. I can tell you my personal relationship with you is so warm, and your kindness has always just felt so truly authentic. And I can only imagine that the children have brought a lot of that out in you, and the patience that you have for them and for their struggling parents at the same time. It's amazing. So where are you on hand a bot to a kid?
Oh man, it's so hard because, iPads are in the family that I work with now. I've worked from all different age ranges. So, newborns obviously can't have that. So it's a little different, but it's challenging because I see how much iPads and, bots and all of the things can be so beneficial in some ways for the parent because it's distractive. And sometimes you can't always give the kid, no matter what you're doing, a parent, a nanny, not anything, can't give the kid your full attention all the time. Just like a dog, you can't always give your full attention. So it can come in handy at times. But for me, the more that I've learned and the more that I've kind of sat back and watched, because they're not my children, and obviously I would parent maybe a little differently than I nanny. It's really hard because sometimes I just want to hand the kid the iPad and let them do whatever they want. And then I see how deeply it affects their attitudes. And it's not a positive thing. I think learning should come in different forms than electronics. Without giving too much information about the family that I work with, they are in so many activities, and it really makes it to where the kids are very tired sometimes and all they want is to be able to have that electronic and just kind of veg out like we do as adults. But the challenge with that is that when they're doing that, as soon as you take it away from them, their behavior gets really bad. And it's kind of like a cycle that you continue. You let them have it, then you make them stop. No matter which way, their attitude is not usually going positive. I
Right.
just think
It's
it's
kind of
what.
like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's kind of
No,
like
you're fine.
it's kind of like I don't want to make light of it, but it's kind of like a drug cycle, right? Where
I
it's like,
agree.
you give somebody something that makes them feel really good, and they're in it to win it while they got it. And as soon
Yep.
as it starts fading off, they're like, oh God, no, and they get whirly and squiggly, right? And then when you give it back to them, they're fine again.
Yeah.
And so the temptation to keep giving the child this electronic drug is
Yeah.
really strong when you've got a million things competing for your attention.
Yeah. It's hard because I do see some benefits for some children with electronics, Sometimes you need it to do certain projects or whatever it might be. But I think back to when I was a kid and, you know, I wish that I didn't sit in front of the phone or the TV as much as I did. I miss that carefree fun where you don't need that. And as my job, it's super important that I think of enough activities or things to do to where the kids don't feel like they need that time in front of the screen. But it's not that easy sometimes.
Yeah, and I can appreciate what you said about this idea of like sort of, especially in today's society, it's like keep these kids booked solid, back to back to back. There's a lot of anxiety and tension that we create in our children at a very young age, sort of expecting them to adhere to pretty rigorous schedules, even if it's soccer and theater club and singing, their little minds need the breaks. They need
I agree.
that time away. And I think we're so worried about having the greatest children in the world that we might be making people that are more challenged. Um, Tell me if you can. Have you ever experienced a line with a family where you've had to sit the parents down and say, you know, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I'm observing. And if there is such a moment, could you describe it for us?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of helpful because I just had this experience about a week ago. Again, I have to be very careful with what I say, but one of the kids that I work with, in particular, I notice a lot of behavioral things when they are on screen time, and I just noticed that I think that they lack actually having. I don't even want to say a purpose, but kind of a purpose in the family because the other kids have so many things that they do, which I would beg to differ. Like you said before, I think sometimes you're filling your kid's schedule up too much. So there needs to be a balance. And with this kid, I think he's on the other spectrum of that balance where there isn't really any and there's too much free time. And so the screen time is something that comes into play of like, that's all they can think about. And so I was very clear that, I think that we need to incorporate more purpose, more um, things that help positive direction for him because you can't always, praise the other kids and not him. And then he's the one that's always getting in trouble. It's a really hard thing as the nanny because you see so much on an outside perspective that you have to be very careful and delicate with bringing to the parents because
Sure.
you're not a parent half the time. I mean, I don't have kids and you can't tell someone how to parent, but I really appreciated how they respected my opinion because they aren't there very much. They're really only there for bedtime and I see it all. So it was a hard conversation, but it was very necessary.
So, in that situation, when you brought that up to them, do you bring to them some ideas around what this purpose might be? So, would it be something like, I think we need to teach the kid how to have some chores, that we could be thank him for doing chores because he's contributing something, or like
Yes.
what kinds of things do you suggest to the parents that can help fill this important gap, but also that highlight the importance of having a human there and not a piece of glass that's saying, ask me whatever you want, I can tell you whatever you want to hear.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to be very strategic because again, I've had the opposite family where it doesn't go well and they don't really care what you have to say because they're comfortable with how things are and they don't want to change. But in this circumstance in particular, their parents are very, I would say, with the times of trying really hard to adjust because each child needs a different thing. And for him in particular, I just recommended having more involvement with the bigger kids because for him, he looks up to them. And so, whatever that might look like, where it's a game or going and doing that sport with them, even though it's not like an actual sport, it's just for fun. Certain things that he may not get to do by himself because he's a little bit younger, but just makes him feel like he's involved. Along with that, just praising as much as you can because as soon as you stop praising, kids notice and they don't like it, just like we don't. We love being told that what we're doing is good. We love that
Yeah.
that feeling. Kids need that feeling.
Yeah. Wow. You literally just laid out the entire thesis for this entire podcast, right? That that bot was never going to tell the parents about the intrinsic importance and value a kid feels when they can participate in something that those who they idolize the most are doing every day, all day. Like, there's no replacement for that feeling as the youngest of six who was closest to my two sisters who didn't want to have anything to do with me. And then my brothers were all way too old to have anything to do with me. I know exactly what you're talking about. And, and there's no ChatGPT in the world who'd be sitting there saying, hey, talk to your parents about getting more time with your older brother, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's probably what you could really use. ChatGPT's not wired for that shit. They are
No.
literally just like, hey, pay attention to me. Keep talking to me. Don't leave me.
Well, that's the
Um,
problem.
and so
And
it gets back to that bridge, right? Are we creating a bridge in our childcare, or are we creating things that are in the way of our childcare, and our children have no bridge to cross to get to the people that they love the most? It's really
yeah.
beautiful how you just said that. Thank you so much. Um, Another stupid question. So you're there all week. There's probably a day or two that you have off on a family that are in a row, maybe, so that the family gets some time together.
Yeah.
What's it like to get that kid back on Monday?
Usually it's hard
Yeah.
because they're out of routine. And I would say, again, without giving too much away, again, each family is different. So some families get the luxury of having both parents. Some, unfortunately, don't, whatever that might look like. And I've noticed with the kids that don't get to be with both parents, the behavior is very challenging. And as someone who comes from divorced parents and someone who had lost a parent, I can understand the behavioral stuff a lot closer to home, which helps me in terms of being a better nanny. But usually they come in being very tired, very minimal patience, and typically actually need naps that normally they don't. And I think that's probably stems from being exhausted from the moving around and change of scenery. Kids don't adjust very well to change. So it's not easy.
Yeah. 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 I can remember as a parent being the one who worked, 50, 60 hours a week and then coming home to my full time parent who was not a co parent at all. And the kids were wild animals and behavior sucked. And I'd spend the whole weekend with them and they would just start coming back and then I would have to leave again.
Yeah.
really, really tough. And I can imagine really hard on somebody who's coming in to be the regulator for these
Yeah.
children who need routine, they need comfort, and they need predictability.
Yeah.
And sort of getting them back on that regulation train is it's it's an art in and of itself, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask you the age-old question that I try and ask on this show, which is, what's the good that you can keep in ChatGPT for a child, and what's the stuff that you would throw away?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, children do not need anybody to agree with 100% of anything that they say and teach them how to use a noose to hang themselves in their closet, right? The fact that that's possible means there is no good for a child. And until we can make sure that that's not possible, there is no good that you can keep. It's only the potential for bad, which is enough to say, in my opinion. That's how I feel.
Well, I agree.
So, you know, the big, this has been our ripple. The stone was me bringing some stuff up. The ripple is me and Emma sort of batting stuff around, me learning more about the depth of your work, which has been really lovely. And then what's the good we can keep? None. And then what's the bad? Who cares? The fact that there is bad and that the kids can absorb it, that means it's a no-go.
Yep.
Which leads us to our next section. Our next section is what I call fuckery. And fuckery is where I just reach out and I find topics in AI over the last week or so that have hit the news, and I bucket them. Fuck yes, fuck no, and fuck maybe. And so, Emma, I'm just going to give you some fuck yeses first, and you nod or interject and go, yeah, woohoo. Or say, wait a minute, I don't think so. Because I want to know what you think coming from your perspective. These aren't related to childcare.
Okay.
So you get to put on your grown-up hat now. You don't have to, have baby talk. There's a wrist sensor that's just been invented that can detect one of the most rare but horrible heart conditions that can kill like that with 95% accuracy. So if you don't know you got this thing and you drop dead because you have this thing, you drop dead. You don't go to a doctor like, I'm about to drop dead, so can you help me? Right? So this is literally a life-saving thing. And it's AI in a sensor in a watch. So what do you think of that?
I mean, that's hard. Probably that it's necessary.
I mean, better than
I mean,
dropping dead.
yeah, I mean, I would prefer that because I don't
Yeah.
want to just drop dead, but some
Yeah.
people may prefer to just drop dead and not know. Hard to know.
Maybe they just wouldn't get the sensor then.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Okay. So they don't have to wear the sensor.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the condition because I don't know if you know this, but I'm not a doctor.
No.
I don't go on. No, really. No, but I don't know enough about the condition to know whether certain people are predisposed to it and so they should wear the sensor, or if it's totally rando and we're all going to wear a chip someday that keeps us safe. I don't know, but I just thought that was a really good one.
Yeah.
Another one that was sort of interesting, which I didn't realize was an issue. These weather forecasts that we do globally, they require a lot of computational power, a lot. And I mean, nowhere near as much as AI, let's be honest, but a lot. And there's just been a big breakthrough in these forecasts becoming forecastable, like in hours and with almost no electrical use because of the AI application that has been added to it. So I thought that one was sort of interesting, but I don't think it factors in the cost of the AI power, which I think we don't know enough about to have a big a big opinion about. Um, Another one that I think is kind of really, really cool as somebody who came from a medical family is the rapid pace with which we can develop drugs for conditions that have been intractably difficult for us to cure. Um, there are new cancer drugs that are coming out now for types of cancers that are like deadly, deadly, deadly. We've got some of them, what I would consider clinically under control through chemical and surgery and all that stuff. But there's some crazy, exciting things happening, and the turnaround time on these is months, not 10 to 20 years, because of all of the double-blind studies that have to be happening on in a conventional method. So, just want to ask you about that one, like getting life-saving drugs faster, probably not a horrible thing.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I've read a little bit about this. I think that's necessary. I'm sometimes I go about my life and I'm like, how have those things not come up sooner? You know?
Right.
It's a little strange to me, so I think that is very necessary.
Yeah, the one I want. Can I have a wish list item? The
Yeah.
one that I want. The one that I want is I want the scan
Oh,
that goes
yes,
on my entire body,
I know.
and it will tell me everything that I'm susceptible to, everything that I'm 10 years away from developing, and tell me everything that I can do to steer away from it, what I should do to treat myself now. Like, if I've got prostate cancer coming in 15 years, what can I do about it now? You know,
Yeah.
like
I'm
what are the
like
markers that could be detected? That's the one I want. Will
that
you make that one happen?
I if I could, yeah, I need to
Chop,
be
chop,
rich. Let's
chop,
have this
chop,
blow up then.
quickly, please.
That's like that's what the Kardashians are doing, but they have the funds to do it, so we need to figure out how we can sneak in there and do it anyways.
Yeah. Well, they're going to buy an island right next to Ivanka Trump's, I'm sure. Okay. So that's all the fuck yeses. Now, how about some fuck nos? These are the ones
Let's
that are
do
going to
it.
piss you off.
Great.
Okay. Agent checking. So there's these coding agents that are hijacking coding agents and doing awful things with their code that is subverting society. So I'm not going to come up with 19 examples of that, but we've created something that can inject itself into something that can inject all of our systems.
Wow.
That's probably a fuck no.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
How about this one? So we all know what a deep fake is, right? You know what a deep fake is? That's like where I take the video from today and I pump it through an AI, and the
Okay.
AI makes a porn movie with you as the star,
Nice.
and you're naked having sex with 19 football players.
Love that.
Okay. Just setting a stage. Please tell your father that I know that you've never done that and that we're just hypothetical, right? Because I know your father. He's a good guy. I don't want him to think
Yeah.
I'm a bad person.
Oh, you
Um,
won't.
but are you ready for this? Deep fake fraud. Now, it's not all porn, right? But fraud makes people money when you're a criminal, right? And if
Yep.
you can harness this to make money, you're creating icky icky, right? Deep fake fraud is up 495% from last year.
Wow.
Chew on that.
People must just not have anything better to do, huh?
No, people want to change elections, so they are creating actors that look like politicians in attack ads
Yikes.
and convincing people of things that are not true so that horrible, corrosive politicians can stay in power.
Wow.
So think about the ways in which fraud can really hurt the future of us and our children, right? It's really scary. Um, and then how about this one? Voice, it's going to be hard to say. Voice clone scans, where I could take audio from this recording today
Oh
and I could run it
gosh.
through an AI that has a conversation with my father, calling my dad and saying, "Dad, I'm sorry, I went out of town. It was gonna be a quick little thing to the Bahamas, but it didn't end up being the Bahamas, Dad. I'm on some island and they're holding me and they want $1 million. I need somebody to send these people $1 million or I'm gonna die."
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine being the parent that got that call?
No.
I'll tell you, my dad was that parent. It wasn't a deep fake clone, but it was somebody calling my dad and saying, "Your daughter Lisa's here."
Wow.
Da 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 da. I forget if it was Lisa or not, but anyway, it was something like because somebody. It was somebody that needed money, and my dad fell for it and sent him the money.
Oh no.
So that was before the deep fakes, right, and the cloning. But now you can do it so convincingly with the actual voice. Isn't that scary?
I mean, that's what I've heard about calls that when you get calls from random numbers, don't say hi more than once.
It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy.
Terrifying.
Okay, so that's the icky ones. Okay, wash
Gosh.
ourselves. Facial scrubs.
Awful.
Facial scrubs, lots of lotion. Okay. Okay. So here are the maybe ones. Um, so there's this idea of a robot's clock that Figure and Tesla have been piloting. And the point of these is that they're providing an opportunity where the dull, dirty, and dangerous work is done by something else, and then just the valuable stuff is done by the human being. But at the end of the day, maybe not so long far away, the good parts of those jobs are going to go too, right? To say that you're going to solve your labor problem by getting rid of the bad parts because you have robots doing something is very different than saying we've solved the problem. If there's something that's dirty or dangerous about our workplace, we should solve that problem. We shouldn't stick a robot in there to do it, because as soon as that part's done and you think you've elevated people, then there's just one more margin dollar that you can save by getting rid of them and sticking a robot and doing their repetitive work. So I can understand that it's good to save and get out of danger, but I also see the writing on the wall, and I'm wondering if you have a reaction to that one.
I just think I just think it's crazy. I think it's crazy that these things can happen. I'm still stuck on the other stuff you just said. My brain. Like, how can people get away with these types of things? Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy to me.
Okay, we're gonna get two more of these.
Okay.
Um, FERC, FERC, and I'm sure that stands for something that I can't remember right now, which is absolutely the case, or I would tell you. Um, it's the one that is trying to sort of measure AI on our power grid, right? And they have technologies now that are designed at sort of figuring out how to get more power on the grid with less in the way of Earth's resources. And so, the point of this would be to clear the bottleneck that says we need more power plants in order to power AI, so that all of this good, bad, and ugly has a chance to develop, right? But the counter is your your power bill is going to pay for this, right? All of our power has gotten more expensive since AI has hit our grid. We are paying for AI to develop in terms of what AI needs to be fed in order for it to get its job done. So clearing the bottleneck, is that good? If it clears the bottleneck and we have to pay for it, is it still good?
Mm-mm.
And if it clears the bottleneck and now we have more powerful AI that's still teaching people how to hang their teenage kids in a closet without them looking, is that a bottleneck that we really want to clear? I don't know. It could be nuts. That's all I'm saying. Another one, SpaceX buys a company called Cursor. Cursor is this crazy coding house situation. So we're talking about somebody who owns the rocket ships. They own the underlying technology and technology companies that inform and drive what these rockets do. And, you know, in a world where we're all being told war is going to happen in space from now on, it's not going to happen on Earth anymore. Or at least that's some people's theory. It's great to know that we have a war chest. We've got somebody thinking about how we can compete and protect ourselves at that level. But one company with that much power, and SpaceX is owned by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not a citizen on the planet who I feel has everybody's interest in mind when he makes decisions for any of the companies that he is developing. So I get really scared about that one. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, the name already. You don't have to say much more.
I know, heebie-jeebies, right?
Yep.
And I say that I used to own a Tesla. I'm one of those people. And I used to be a fanboy of Musk when before he turned into a whack job, you know, but he
Yeah.
really did take a too few many puffs of the ketamine, I think.
Yeah.
Was that out loud? Oops. Okay. Last maybe, China. China has a $295 billion AI plan. China is one of the few countries who's gone into AI with their eyes wide open. They have developed training programs long before AI even had a footprint to get their citizenry tooled up to be able to do these jobs. They in a lot of ways they've done things right that America has refused to do. But they've got 295 billion going into AI as a country. So they're going to be faster and cheaper. They're going to make AI faster and cheaper for the planet, and that will be a big competitive edge for them.
Yeah.
But then the counter is, what if that's feeding their space program? And what if they become dominant in space?
Oh gosh.
What if it's just powering their regular state arms race and they become a more powerful entity in terms of their own protection? So where do you fall on that one?
It's hard because sometimes I just truly feel like I just wish AI wasn't involved. But you know, if it's less money and quicker, it's just that's what's hard is so if they do it, then what's gonna happen? If they do it
So
like that, is it gonna get worse?
it's all a race, right? And if everybody's racing and somebody has to be a winner, that means other people are losers. And when
Not
people are
good.
so focused on being a winner, are they making the best decisions?
Mm-mm.
They're probably not, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Scary.
that's the fuck yes and fuck no and fuck maybe. And I'll remind everybody that goinghumanpod.com is our website. At the end of this show, when it's all published and up on the web, you can come to my website and go to the Ledger page. Ledger is where you can vote on these things. So what I really want to do is create an ecosystem of community-led opinions where people can come in and leave comments, but also vote yes or no on the fuck maybes, so that we can continue to evolve the conversation from the groundswell of our own community. That's the idea there. Goinghumanpod.com. Come see me. Okay. The last thing we do on our show is called Tsunami. And I'll remind everybody that the tsunami here is the last in our water metaphors. And it's really the idea that, a drop in a bucket barely gets the bottom of the bucket wet. But a million drops in a bucket overflows and can really make a difference. And so tsunami is the same thing. I'm going to suggest every week that we do something that's violently human, that's only singular, that's something that we can do to say to ourselves, I may never do this again in my life again, but I'm going to do something wildly human right now. And the idea is that we can create an impression for ourselves and a memory for ourselves about what is intrinsically analog about the ways we move through life. So here's this week's. Turn your phone off, not on vibrate, off, preferably in another room so you don't even feel like you can go and touch it. And use a pen. I think I have one somewhere. Oh yeah, look, see, I even have one right here. Use a pen to write something. But let it be something that's used. Don't just write brown fox jumps fence, whatever. Make a shopping list and bring it to the store. Write a note to your lover that you live with that says I love you, and stick it on the mirror when they wake up in the morning. It's the first thing that they see. Hand somebody something that shows them that you thought about them before you handed it to them, that when they read it, they say, holy shit, Emma really likes me. Find some way to write something that touches your day-to-day human life, and then just feel what it's like to use it. Feel what it's like to have it consumed, and see if you can perceive the inherent value in what a pen and a piece of paper can do for you. That's our tsunami for the week. And I'd love to hear more from you all about your own experience of your own tsunami, because we all have different experiences when we try something new like that. Okay. Emma, how did it go? I give you an A++.
Well, I give you a triple A+++.
Thank you so
Seriously.
much for being here. Happy birthday again. Emma just celebrated her 14th birthday. No, I'm just joking. Emma just celebrated her birthday and went on a great camping trip and rushed home to do this recording with us. So I really am deeply grateful that you did this for me. It's a big leg up.
Well, thank you.
So this is the deal. A robot can fake the voice, but it can't move your hand and it can't write a note. Pick up the pen. I'm Moss. Like, subscribe, follow. We're here every week. Look at our website for upcoming episodes so you can see summary abstracts on what's coming up. It's a lot of interesting content. Really appreciate your audience today, and thank you again, Emma.
Thank you.